What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So, Cyberpunk 2077. Have you heard of this game yet? I feel like we've been talking about it for the last week and a half easy on how poor this launch has been. I mean, it's been disastrous right now, but it just keeps on going. In fact, now we have to talk about an issue with the save files in the game that appear to have them corrupting when they get to a certain file size. And then on top of that, we now have news breaking that they could be facing multiple class action lawsuits with investors not happy about how the game was portrayed leading up to launch. We're gonna go over all of that here today. Also, it looks like there was a really cool find in the retro gaming community as a Dreamcast development kit had its hard drive dumped, and on it was a pitch to Fox for a game, or at least a tech demo at the time, for The Simpsons. Yeah, we're gonna go over all of that today, guys. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with what else? Cyberpunk 2077. While we've been talking about how poor the launch has been and everything else going on that side, there's still a game there to go over. And it does look like we're already seeing some modders on PC have some fun with it and see what they can get out of it, which does include a heavily requested feature leading up to launch, third-person mode. Yeah, in the game, it's like 98% first person, but there are times like where you drive around a car or a bike or something that you can pull the camera back and actually see your character. Let's take a look at this video though, where we can see a person actually running through the world in third person mode. This is from Sin Eagle, posted over on YouTube. Now, the character running through the world does not look natural at all. It looks completely off, and a reason for that, they don't expect you, that being CD Projekt Red, to see your character walking around. So I'm sure there were some corners that were cut on that side of things. It just isn't necessary if it's always first person. I'm sure if they decided ever in the future to introduce a third person mode, a lot of the animations and interactions with the world would be cleaned up, but it appears that the different modders on PC may actually try to do that themselves because people really wanted a third-person mode for this game, and when it was originally announced that it was just going to be first-person, there was some pushback on that. So I would expect, to be honest, at this point, couple of months, we might have a fully playable third-person Cyberpunk 2077 game to check out on PC. Also, if you're still playing Ghost of Tsushima quite a bit, you're probably pretty happy with what you saw on Twitter the other day, announced by PlayStation. You can see this tweet here. Outfits inspired by iconic PlayStation characters come to Ghost of Tsushima. We can see a couple of different screenshots here showing off outfits from God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Shadow of the Colossus, and even Bloodborne. Yes, that looks awesome. And according to them, by completing a story or survival mission with each class before January 15th, you can unlock them. And yeah, the Bloodborne one looks awesome, and I really do like the Shadow of the Colossus one. That one's pretty cool. I mean, they all look good, but like those are the ones that stuck out to me a lot. And this is the exact way you go about keeping a game like this going. It's clear that this game, with how it runs on the PlayStation 5 and still looks great, it runs perfect, it's going to be a game they're going to continue to build on and sell, especially with that multiplayer mode. And this is exactly how you do it. So yes, I'm going to go in, I'm gonna check these out, gonna unlock them, especially the Shadow of the Colossus one and Bloodborne. Definitely trying to get those first. Oh, and good news for fans of No More Heroes who are playing on PC currently, we had some ratings pop up. You could see them on the ESRB site here with No More Heroes 1, and then we also have No More Heroes 2. Now, these are both from Marvelous Inc., and it shouldn't be too surprising to see this because we have seen Marvelous do a couple of different ports to PC with Daemon X Machina as an example from the Switch, and we've also seen like Killer 7, right, from Suda go to PC. This seems to be them really pushing towards that platform, which makes a lot of sense. No More Heroes 1 and 2 going to PC should be really cool to see all of that. Now, the fact that they've already been rated is good, and it's going to be all digital, we assume, on PC right through Steam. So these could be announcements at any time coming up now, and even the next week or two. Maybe they want to wait till after the holidays though, so first half of January, and then there's a good chance they could release a week or two after that because they're all digital. And the interesting thing here is, from what I remember, No More Heroes 2 has always been on a Nintendo platform, so I guess this will be the first time that it's actually coming out somewhere else. It was on the Wii, and then it was on the Switch very recently, so pretty cool to see that for all of the PC gamers out there who want to check out No More Heroes. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We'll start right away with Cyberpunk 2077. What else but Cyberpunk at this time, right? They've been going through a lot. We've talked about it quite a bit here. It's always like the big headline of the day. Every time you look online, something else is happening with this game or CD Projekt or CD Projekt Red, whoever. But let's talk about two topics here today. We'll start with the save file glitch that's currently going around right now. And a lot of it has to do with people figuring out, well, really an exploit that allows them to take items and duplicate them and then break them down for their crafting materials. In the game, as you get further along, especially towards the end, you're certainly pushed towards crafting materials and different weapons more and more than you are in the start, mostly because you continue to get weapons as you go through, and you'll probably get weapons that are better than what you can craft at that time. So as you get towards the end, you have a ton of materials, you start building stuff up, but it appears that with an exploit that allows people to right now duplicate items over and over again and then break them down for their crafting materials, they're actually running into the file size limit, it appears, for the save files. We can see this from Reddit, where it says, a PSA, your Cyberpunk saves will become corrupted and unrecoverable if they reach 8 megabytes in size. And in fact, on GOG's own support site, they say the save file size limit might be increased in one of the future patches, but the corrupted files will remain that way. So there is, according to them, a chance that they might increase that file size up past 8 megabytes. I checked on the PlayStation 5 on my save file, which is about 30 hours in now, and it's at 12 megabytes. So it doesn't appear to be an issue with PS5, I guess. I'm well above 8 megabytes, and I have 20 save slots, which I believe is the max that you can have. So no issues there, I guess, for corrupted save files, but on PC, you're gonna wanna be careful. According to CD Projekt Red and CD Projekt, how many pieces of material you have on you at any given time for crafting items. That apparently, along with the amount of weapons and all the stuff you have, add on to that save file. And if you get to 8 megabytes or try to push past it, it will be corrupted and you won't be able to access it anymore. So according to them, you want to have multiple save files and try to keep one that doesn't have the weapon or item exploit glitch where you can keep, copying them. I mean, it seems obvious that that's something they should fix, but I mean, there's a lot of things they should fix with the game when it comes to like a technical level for it, bugs, glitches, all of that. Now, not even the save files right now are safe. And then on top of that, we do appear to have 2 different class action lawsuits that are currently building up information currently. So like in the preliminary phase, see how many people were affected or how many people want to go to court over what has happened here with the overall deception from CD Projekt, not just for gamers like us, but for shareholders, people who have quite a bit of money on the line with this and who would feel deceived and led a certain way about how this game was gonna release and the state that it was in, and then the cold hard reality that we got after the game came out. Now, this was initially reported by New York Times, and then we did have a pretty good write-up by Video Games Chronicles here saying, as reported by the New York Times, one Warsaw-based law firm and CD Projekt investor has announced it's analyzing grounds for legal action on the basis of misrepresentation in order to obtain financial benefits. It said its investigation was related to recent events and particularly Cyberpunk's removal from the PlayStation Store, which saw CD Projekt's share price fall by 15% on December 18th. Cyberpunk 2077's troubled launch has resulted in CD Projekt shares tumbling over the past week and wiping over $1 billion off the wealth of the company's founders. Now, the second lawsuit, Wolf, Hadenstein, Adler, Freeman, and Hers LLP, said on Friday it was looking into potential securities claims on behalf of shareholders of CD Projekt, resulting from allegations that CD Projekt may have issued materially misleading information to their shareholders and investing public. So 2 different things here. One has to do with the removal from the PlayStation Store. As soon as it was pulled from that PlayStation Store, their stock dropped bad. I mean, it's ugly. If you look up the overall stock charts for CD Projekt, you can see exactly when it happened. It just fell off a cliff, and that would come down to when did CD Projekt find out about that? And because it was such a shock to everyone who had invested money into CD Projekt on the build-up to the launch of this game. Let's say the founders here at CD Projekt knew about that happening, kept it quiet for a little bit till the right time, and then they announced it after they got maybe some of their shares. That's all stuff that has to be investigated, right? Is if they manipulated a lot of this stuff to make sure that they lost the least amount of money from like a personal side. Now, with the other lawsuit, makes a bit more sense for us because that comes down to the deception that a lot of us felt with how they tried to present the game to the public and as well as the investors. Remember, we've talked about a lot of those statements. The game runs surprisingly well on last generation consoles of the PS4 and the Xbox One. Who do you think asked that question It was on an investor's call. An investor actually thought about that. Yeah, the investors, hey, here, I gotta give them credit. That's pretty clever, because a lot of times we'll hear investor calls for like Nintendo, and they'll ask, hey, can we get tickets to get early in line for Super Nintendo World? No, this was a good question about the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, because there hadn't been much talk about it, and that is a large audience that they would try to sell the game to. So they would want it to be in good condition, and as far as they were told, it runs surprisingly well. Basically, it comes down to CD Projekt knew the state of this game, knew how they were going to release it, knew that they had a ton of pre-orders to fulfill on their side, but the game wasn't ready. They pushed it out anyway while telling the investors that it was ready and there was nothing to be concerned or worry about. You guys should invest more money, right? That's basically what we're looking at here. So these are all things in the preliminary stages. They are gathering information. They're also asking any large investors or anyone who's lost a lot of money with CD Projekt after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077 to contact them. So if you were an investor in CD Projekt and you feel burned badly by this, and yeah, you lost a lot of money out of your account, you might want to give them a call. Then once again, just not a good look for CD Projekt here. The fact that their investors are getting involved with class action lawsuits and all of this, it's going to be a long road to recovery for them. And they mentioned that they need to repair their reputation overall. Yeah, it's going to be a while. Just fixing the game is like the first step in what's going to be a very long journey for them. Next up, let's talk about a lost Dreamcast game or Dreamcast tech demo. I did not expect this one. And it does make you wonder, this entire story they're about to go over, what other things were pitched at different times that we never heard about back in like the early 2000s, maybe in the late 90s, who knows? Maybe even like last week, something crazy or wild was pitched to a company and we just will never find out about it unless a dev kit gets out there with it on its hard drive, and that's actually what happened here. We can go over, as you see here, this is to the Dreamcast Talk forum, where a post by Sreek says, I have a broken Dreamcast dev kit. I was wondering if I'm allowed to post the hard drive files on here. I have to dump the hard drive again when I get home, but the file names are, and we can see several of them here, which includes Blow Up, Roach, Bug Squad, Quake 2, Simpsons, TDB 410, Roach World, TTB5, and then source code. So obviously a bunch of like different titles and placeholders there, but you see the Simpsons on there, so maybe that is a game where you play as like Bart or Homer or something and you're running through a world that way. Maybe it's like fully 3D cel shaded. Kinda. Check this video out here, because what happened here were members of the forum actually built a bootable image and they started up on the Dreamcast, and I don't think anyone expected this one. It's like Mr. Mosquito in the Simpsons household. Yeah, this is apparently called the Simpsons Bug Squad, where you do play as a bug in the Simpsons house. Homer is kind of walking around. It's very clearly not a complete game at all, but you can technically boot it up on a Dreamcast. It has like these cel-shaded visuals, which is pretty cool. And then after posting this is from Dreamcastic channel, we can actually see that they did figure out what this was exactly in their pinned comment. Mystery solved from one of Red Lemon Studios founders, Andy Campbell. Oh my, not seen that for 20 years. We had a great coder who had developed an amazing cel shading engine for Dreamcast. I knew Fox pretty well, so this was a demo we created and pitched to them. We were never commissioned, so this was technically never an official title in development. This was a trip down memory lane. The tech was great, developed by a guy called Rich Evans. Great coder. Bug Squad concept came from Jamie Grant. If I remember, a great art team built the models. The tech was also pitched as a production tool for the show itself. No game made though. And if you want to see just more of this tech demo played on YouTube, there is a link down in the sources for Dreamcastic's channel with that video. I would go check it out. It's a really interesting idea, and that's what I said. The reason I like that generation, like the PS2, the GameCube, the Xbox, and yeah, the Dreamcast, is there were a lot of chances taken and a lot of strange ideas, but like a bug in the Simpsons household, and I guess you would have like flown around and just seen the interactions between the different members of the Simpsons family. Maybe you have guests come in from outside the house and they interact with them too, and you're literally a fly on the wall as all this happening, and maybe you sabotage them or annoy them and stuff. That's a fun idea. Nothing ever came of this technically, but they even built out like the technology for like the cel shading look and all of this. Interesting stuff there, and apparently you can also boot this up on your own Dreamcast and check it out. But go check out the video here at least, because What an interesting thing we almost had. Next up, let's talk about Super Nintendo World. We actually had a Nintendo Direct on Friday. It was like 15 minutes, and it was on a theme park. Wait, 2020 is a weird year, isn't it? But you know what? I had a lot of fun watching this, because what it was Miyamoto walking around Super Nintendo World that is completed now, telling us it's open February 4th, and just walking around and showing us some of the cool things that he helped put together and kind of conceptualize along with Universal Studios. And you can see some of it here. A lot of you have probably already watched it because people were going crazy over this theme park over the weekend. And I have to say, it is very Nintendo. Like, you look through here and you could tell Miyamoto had a field day designing this. But some of the things I liked was like the restaurant that they showed off with the different toads kind of running around, making the food in the background as you're hanging out, a lot of mushroom themed foods and all of this. And when you're walking around, it seems in the theme park, you will kind of just hit question mark blocks and get coins and check in at different spots with your wristband, and it'll go to your phone, which is the app itself. They didn't mention like what you get with the coins or what you do. I don't know, it could be wallpapers for your phone. Maybe it in some way will give you rewards even on your Switch. So there are, I'm sure, some exclusive ideas that they have for this theme park over in Japan right now. And they even have like a little exclusive toy that you can get at the gift shop itself. And while the park they showed here is in Japan, they do also have plans to bring this whole experience with Super Nintendo World to Universal Studios Hollywood in California, Universal's Epic Universe in Orlando, and Universal Studios Singapore. So, you know what? It was a lot of fun to see. They didn't show off, which I was really hoping they would, kind of the Mario Kart, the like roller coaster run they had there with like the AR glasses. Apparently, that's super unique. Miyamoto himself said it took like 6 years or something to kind of design that Bowser's Castle with that inside. So that's the thing I'm really curious about. And you know what? February 4th, even if I can't get out there, which I probably can at this point, I'll have to wait for a while, or eventually it'll show up in the US and it'll be a bit easier for me to get to. I'll certainly be checking out some of the YouTube channels that will go and review these different parks, and I'm sure it's going to be a wild adventure there to see what they have, because apparently, according to Miyamoto, that was a small bit of the park, so who knows what else they have in store. And in our last bit of news, let's say goodbye to Halo on the Xbox 360, specifically the Halo Online service. The thing we all fired up in 2007 and played online and argued with a bunch of kids till the sun came up back then, right? Well, it looks like now, 14 years later, it's going to be getting shut down. This was announced over on the Halo Waypoint site. You can see this here, saying, today we are announcing our intention to sunset our Halo Xbox 360 legacy services to fully focus on the future of the franchise. In approximately 1 year, December 2021, online services for legacy Halo Xbox 360 titles will be discontinued. Owners of these titles will still be able to play these games indefinitely. They also go through 4 different phases. We're up to phase 2 currently, with phase 3 being 2021, continued messaging and reminders throughout the year across Halo channels, and then phase 4 being December 2021, Halo Xbox 360 legacy services are turned off. And as they mention here, there's probably not as many people playing just those through backwards compatibility, because we have the Master Chief Collection that is fixed now. This would have been really bad if they decided to do this after it launched, because we would have had no way to play Halo Online then. So this is mostly if you have the Xbox 360 disc and you pop it in your system and you've been playing it that way, that will no longer work. You will have to use the Master Chief Collection going forward after December 2021 if you want to play Halo 2, Halo 1, Halo 3, Halo 4, I guess, any of these Halos that are a part of that online. You can still play these single player, offline through backwards compatibility, co-op, sure, all of that. You just won't be able to use the online service. And this is certainly as they work towards something like Halo Infinite and trying to consolidate everything to Game Pass to make it a bit easier, I guess, for them to kind of manage overall. And while the whole thing makes complete sense to me because they want to continue working towards Halo Infinite and they already have Master Chief Collection, so it kind of seems redundant. Anyway, it is still the end of an era for a lot of Halo 3 players who bought it day one back in 2007. And also, it's a good reminder that we're all just getting that much older. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Ultima saying, imagine your job just being to translate and communicate the intentions of a company overseas. And it gets a bit more difficult than that even, because remember, they're trying to explain NCL or Nintendo Japan headquarters. They're trying to explain their decisions, and sometimes they make some wacky decisions. Like, think of course, we have the voice chat situation on the Switch. So think about having to explain that decision as Nintendo of America to people who are using their headsets with their PlayStation 4 and their Xbox One at the time by just plugging into a controller and talking. And they show up with a diagram to show us how to hook it up to our phone and then also run another cable off to the Switch and do all this stuff. And we're all like, what is this? It was just Nintendo of America doing their best, and it's not easy when you get those kind of decisions made and they have to try to figure out how to tell us about it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's the Cyberpunk 2077 saga. Now they're going up against potential class action lawsuits from multiple different parties. They're dealing with a save glitch that's just corrupting save games. It's never ending with this game, but let me know what you think about those situations there. Also, what about this Dreamcast tech demo or Dreamcast game centered around being a bug in the Simpsons house? Is some interesting stuff, I'm sure, that never sees the light of day that we don't know about, and this is just the latest example of it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.